I've accurately ragged on Netflix in the past for its refusal to simulcast the seasonal anime series it licenses. It seems to be the demonstrable case that shows like Little Witch Academia have their level of exposure, buzz, and conversation notably hurt by being held for in some cases almost a year after they started airing to have any available legal streaming options. Netflix demonstrated either an ignorance of or simple brazen disregard for the way a large portion of anime fans in the West, many of its most involved and passionate, actually consume anime with its choice of release format, and has continued to do so. Violet Evergarden's situation right now is totally up in the air. It's got a huge degree of hype, built up by previous videos showcasing the unspeakably outstanding animation, giving it the top slot for the season on Mal by a healthy margin. At the last second, Netflix seemingly scrambled to get it to actually be simulcasting on the service, but they missed some regions, including one little incidental rinky-dink place you might have heard, the United States of America. Yeah, so we'll have to see what in the hell happens. Is there enough hype that it'll overpower the lack of legal streaming in America? Will the gifs that get shared around be so jaw-dropping that everyone's dislocated bones drop onto their keyboards and hit play on the Kiss Anime stream? Or will the lack of legal availability for one of the largest groups of fans once again stymie discussion? We'll have to see. But in spite of all these issues, I do think Netflix, and the model it wants to pursue, has just demonstrated some huge potential that could be an incredibly positive force for the industry, so I want to look into that here today. Devilman Crybaby has been a social media phenomenon. Everyone from dedicated fans who follow a dozen shows each season, to friends of mine that are more casual viewers who'll watch a handful of anime each year, usually getting around to stuff after it's finished up based upon friends' recommendations, are talking positively, loudly, and often about this series. PewDiePie is talking about it, so it has clearly hit a wider audience than the norm. But, why? Like, Devilman Crybaby is fantastic, incredible, I love it, but this is a readaptation of a 70s manga that was relatively obscure in the West, from a director who is well respected, but also lower profile, relatively speaking, because of the general idiosyncratic artsiness of his works. And Crybaby pulls no fucking punches. This thing is crude, graphic, and most importantly, not at all afraid to just go way out there with stylistic craziness. Like, a girl making donkey noises for an uncomfortably extended period of time while masturbating? This is some weird art-housey stuff. It's no mind game, but it comes close enough to that approach that it's pretty incredible to me that this has gotten appreciated as broadly as it has. So, why? Why has that happened? Well, I think it can be attributed in decent part to its release on Netflix. The advantage that being on a service so many people have, what is it, 50% of American households? I'm not Googling this shit until I do to get the visuals while I'm editing. And beyond just that, the advantage that being on a service so many people have and are extremely used to using regularly has, is that the bar to go out and watch it is much lower. They're already gonna be on Netflix tonight anyway, so if they heard someone talking about this new show they should check out, it's a few keystrokes away and they very well may go do that. Hell, they very well may be in that listless, man, there's nothing good left to watch state, and be incredibly receptive to taking that recommendation on a whim. And so, they do. And this is where the nature of Crybaby's release beyond just its platform comes into play. There's some people who typically wait to watch stuff until it's completed and they can binge it. And, in turn, those simulcast viewers who will wait to recommend stuff to friends because they know that will be the case. By dropping the whole series at once, its actual release, not just its delayed Western one, you capture both audiences at once, and get them both talking about it at once. Binging the show is simulcasting it, and vice versa. With poor releases, we get the flames of underfed discussions sputtering out because the lack of legal simulcasting options greatly reduces the amount of viewers available to fuel those fires as it airs, while also meaning that by the time the series is legally available, most of the people most excited and passionate about the series have already watched it and so won't be as active in the eventual discussions by legal-only viewers. For cases like Crybaby, every gifable moment, every perspective meme, every shocking plot twist, and every point of discourse wash over the internet in a singular concentrated wave, since they are all presented to the world in a single bingeable chunk the moment any of the series is out. It's simple. By the nature of the internet, 50,000 people talking about a thing over the course of, say, a year, as different types of viewers one by one get access to it, will have a far lesser impact than that 50,000 people talking about that thing in one concentrated week-long time span following its release to everyone. This is because of what us professionals have scientifically dubbed algorithms and shit. Essentially, a place like YouTube is just gonna be way more likely to favor and promote Devilman Crybaby stuff if all of a sudden that thing is really popular for a little while in terms of searches and the such, when it would never get that help if instead it was maybe sorta a bit popular for a period of a few months. Anyone tweeting about Crybaby will get way more likes and retweets if everyone has watched it at around the same time as each other here. Enough people will have seen it in order to get the jokes and references, or get hit hard by accounts of others' emotional experiences with the anime, and they will all have seen it recently enough that all those feelings will be fresh in their minds, and thus more resonant. What this means is that the 50,000 people talking about the thing in a short time span turns into a bunch more people talking about that thing, because there's so much more sharing and general internet promotion of it. That set of people gets used as efficiently as possible to spread it as widely as possible. If we imagine that any given thing will have a general based amount of people that will be interested in it for certain, that will be checking it out just because they follow news about some element of it closely enough, the value of this becomes clear. For instance, the sort of guaranteed interest in Devilman Crybaby would likely be fans of its director Masaaki Yuasa, who has garnered a modest but passionate following through his fantastic but somewhat niche works, fans of the Devilman franchise, and also fans of Go Nagai, the original creator of Devilman along with a few other important classics, more generally. As I've laid out, the buzz generated by that set of people will be greatly amplified by occurring around the same time, and so a base of 50,000 people turns into 75,000 people, turns into 200,000 people, and on to sometimes incredibly surprising extents. Because of the way internet buzz works on a mechanical level, that just wouldn't happen if the release wasn't in the form of this simultaneous worldwide binge bomb. Releasing anime the way Devilman Crybaby was released maximizes the amount of reach it will have, and that's a deeply exciting thing. It's incredible to see an artsy favorite like Yuasa all of a sudden getting broad appreciation, and this ended up being the way he broke into the Western relative mainstream. Other instances of this style of release have had strong results as well. Anyone remember Relife? Maybe not, but a bunch of you watched it, because it's ranked 133rd on my anime list in terms of how many people added it to their mal, which is second only to Mob Psycho 100 for the season it aired, and actually beat out Yuri on Ice from the following season in that regard. I don't remember seeing or hearing too much discussion of it myself at the time, but it was released all at once in Japan, and then didn't get fucked over by its licensor. Crunchyroll also released the whole series at once. There was nothing super special or flashy about the show. It had a fairly neat sort of meta premise, but it was also another fairly standard high school rom-com anime that didn't have any sort of strong visual element to draw people in or anything like that. I think the simple novelty of this sort of binge release for a seasonal anime brought it some attention, but this principle of the benefits of that style of release in terms of optimizing the social media reach it will result in probably also played a part in Relife's somewhat puzzling popularity. Now, Netflix can't start doing this for everything. If the producers of it want to air a given anime weekly, which they typically do since television time slots are a relatively big thing for anime, and just because doing it that way is the norm in general, then Netflix can't release it in one bingeable chunk and have it release at the same time as it does in Japan. That incredible signal boosting effect of a binge release is lost if that release is one that isn't up to date, and so for cases unlike Devilman Crybaby, where it isn't actually a series produced by Netflix, this simply won't be an option. For most other anime streaming services, where unlike with Netflix, creating programming themselves isn't part of their business model, and thus isn't something they can afford to do much of at all, this style of release just won't be an option outside of rare cases like Relife, where the Japanese side of things released it like that, allowing Crunchyroll to follow suit. And because of this, these simultaneous binge releases are something that Netflix is uniquely equipped with the ability to do. It's an amazing asset for both them and the anime community, since as we've seen with Devilman Crybaby, it has the potential to increase the reach of very deserving talents within anime, to spread a knowledge of noteworthy classics, and perhaps even to spread anime to a wider audience generally. Hopefully Violet Evergarden is indicative of Netflix's intent to pull its head out of its goddamn ass and start fucking helping us. Or at least to acknowledge the existence of the simulcast viewer base, because it is now something that I really would love to be able to unequivocally praise for this potential, and for the good it has already done. But guess what, Netflix? I will be watching Violet Evergarden simultaneously with its Japanese release one way or another, so if you choose not to serve that demand, then fuck you, I guess. But on a total reverse note, thank you, I'm certain. Work and life have gotten super busy over the past month or so, but thanks to patient and understanding viewers, and the switch to monthly patronage letting me wait till the first of the month to release a fully polished video, I've been able to manage even with that. If you'd like to help decrease that busyness and increase greatly the amount of time I can pour into this channel, consider supporting me on Patreon and helping to make this content what I focus on exclusively. A massive thank you to everyone doing so already, in particular, Psyker, Carkeys, MathWiz97, Jonathan Conley, Skylar Morrow, Tyler Monk, Sakamoto Mio, Tincho37, Josh Grant, Lord Liquid Bacon III, Stella Luna, Joaquim Aldfelt, Darian De Sotel, Azir Zero, David McCown, and Kieran Rice. We're getting ever closer to that goal as time goes on here.